Hey y'all, it's Ren of Taurus Rising, back with you again for our weekly wellness with tarot. And we're going to be continuing our Fool's Journey series. And today we have the Chariot. What better day to do it also, because today is the full moon in Aries, and Aries is a very like action oriented, make things happen sign, which is what the Chariot is all about. And so, just a little recap for those of you who haven't seen this whole series. We're going through the Fool's Journey, which is going through all the major arcana cards, and we're asking the tarot, okay, where in our lives do we need the energy of this card? So the Fool is going along their journey and meets the Chariot. The Chariot is about taking action, making things happen. One thing to note about the Chariot is the person driving the Chariot has a wand. They don't actually have reins, where they're making the sphinxes like actually go. So to me, that kind of represents intention, like the importance of intention and action. And this card is really all about channeling intention through action, making things happen. We gain confidence through experience. You can't just like read a book on something and then know what to do. You have to experience it. Just in life, that's how life works, is you really learn and get confidence through actually doing the thing, being a beginner, failing, trying again, and over learning from experience. So I think that's what I also get from the Chariot, is you have to take action, you have to do things. Things aren't going to happen for you. Another thing to note about the tarot, is there's like a river behind there, and that's supposed to represent like the flow of life. So to me, that also means taking action, but also accepting life on life's terms. Like sometimes things happen and you can't fight against it, you can't resist it, or else you're just going to be, you're going to suffer. There is a concept from the therapy world called clean pain versus messy pain. Clean pain is just the pain that comes with living, like because in this human plane, painful things happen. And messy pain is when we resist what is actually happening, and that actually might make it worse. So not forcing or fighting against some things. That doesn't mean you have to like it, but having acceptance. So I think that's a component here, is taking action, making things happen, and with an intention behind it, but also going with the flow of life and not forcing solutions. The different colored sphinxes here are also supposed to represent like duality, so like opposing forces in life, which makes me think of another term in the therapy land, which is the dialectics, like two things can be true. So navigating that in life. So one thing that we learn in life, that the Fool, as the Fool goes through its journey and meets the Chariot, is the Fool is learning that they must take action and have intention behind their action, and also just deal with life on life's terms, all the things that are unpredictable, and sometimes having acceptance. So there's a lot to this card. So that being said, we're going to do our reading here. So where in our lives do we need the energy of the Chariot? Now this Chariot is from the Radiant Rider-Waite deck, and I'm using the Ethereal Visions for the actual reading. All right. We're going to do that thing where we pull one card and then we'll see how it goes, possibly pulling another card. All right. And the card that I will pull for us is this one. Oh, interesting. The Artist. So in this particular deck, the Ethereal Visions, it actually, I think I've mentioned this in a previous video, that it actually has two bonus major arcana cards, and this is one of them. We have the Artist, but there's a kind of a glare, and it's reversed, so, but kind of just making it upright, just so you can see the imagery here. We've got a person here with winged feet, and drawing, creating it. It's almost like as if they're looking at the image to kind of replicate what's going on. But so at face value, just kind of an artist, a visual artist, if you will, But I think just generally we're going to look at this card more big picture, generic, artist, the artist, artistry, being creative, and it's reversed. One thing I think of is that everyone is creative in some way or another. Not everyone is a painter or a musician or a designer of sorts, but everyone has their own unique way of creating things. Like cooking, that's creativity. The way you compose an email, a text, the way you decorate your home and dress yourself, adorn yourself, those are all sort of creative outlets. They're an expression of self. And I think everyone has their own sort of way of being too. Now, getting a little more bigger picture, each person's life is their own masterpiece. The way that you live, the relationships that you build, the patterns, the habits that you engage in, those are all part of you creating your own life, your own story. So everyone is the artist of their own life. That's what's coming to mind as I see this card, because it's reversed. And when it's reversed, can be more of an internal process versus an external things actually happening in the external world. So where in your life are you kind of thinking about the masterpiece that you're creating with your life path? This is making me think of like big life changes, perhaps transitions. Maybe you're going through your Saturn return, first or second or third, or some sort of like transition, and questioning, okay, what is my life path? What am I doing here? What am I doing now? Like, what do I want to do? Is this working for me? So you're creating your own life, your story. You're the author of your own life. And there needs to be some Chariot energy in this. And the Chariot, remember, is about action and intention. Maybe you've been on autopilot, and maybe just kind of not feeling fulfilled. I feel like this seems like a similar reading that we've had recently. But there needs to be some sort of intention, action, awareness around how you're living, because something isn't really lined up. Maybe you do feel like a creative person, like an actual creative person, but you've put that on the back burner. So maybe that's part of the artist energy that's showing up here. If you're a person who maybe has put their passion or their creative outlets to the side, or maybe some sort of big component in your life, like maybe you have a hobby of, I don't know, breakdancing, or just some sort of thing that brought joy into your life, that made your life more rich and more sparkle to your life, and that's been abandoned in life. Is kind of the same old, same old. And lately you've been questioning, what kind of life am I creating? Am I happy with this? Am I content with this? Can I stand my life to keep going like this? I need to change something. So needing to take action driven by intention, versus just action because you feel like you need to just do something. I've quoted To Be Magnetic before, this manifestation company I like. And something I've learned in their teachings is this idea of dog paddling energy, where you're feeling like, okay, I need to do something. I have to make something happen. But that isn't driven by intention. That's just trying to like see what sticks. And that isn't the energy that we're getting from the Chariot. The Chariot is like, okay, we need to have some sort of intention. And that doesn't mean you have to decide something very specific, but maybe you just need to have more intention with your life. Okay, how are my days going? Do I like my morning routine? Just tweaking your life and your life path, because it's those little things that you do every day that create the life that you're living. And so I think it's time to get granular around your life and the life path you're creating. And you don't have to think big picture. That can be overwhelming. Around like, is this career fit for me? Is this relationship, like that might be too much, but getting more on the granular level, and bringing intention and action to your everyday, to make a better life path that you're creating for yourself. So that's what I'm getting from this reading is you are the artist and the author of your own life, and perhaps you haven't been as intentional and been kind of creating something that you really wanted. Maybe you're just kind of going with the flow, and sometimes going with the flow is appropriate, but when it's your life and you're just really not being intentional about how you're living, then you're abandoning yourself, and it's time to take the reins. Which is funny because this person doesn't actually have the reins, they have a wand instead, but you know what I mean. So it's time to take the reins of your own life. You are the driver of your own life. That might sound overwhelming, and I think with like having responsibility can be scary, but also with responsibility comes like you get to reap the benefits. So taking responsibility for your own life and being intentional versus just mindlessly going through life, because that could lead to some regrets at the end of it, and we don't want that. I don't want that for y'all. Hopefully this reading is resonating with some of y'all out there. This is a collective reading, not an individual reading, so it may not all resonate. Maybe you are really driving the bus in your own life and you're doing well. Maybe this is just a reminder to keep doing that. We still have a little bit of time, so I'm going to pull the card at the bottom and see what we get. All right. Oh, wow, y'all. The Death card was on the bottom. We haven't gotten to this one yet in the Fool's Journey, but we will here in a couple of weeks. The Death card at face value can be a little scary, especially when you hear the word death. Okay, that's not a word you want to hear. However, death doesn't mean like a actual physical death. It means transformation. This is a card of transformation, like dying, like old patterns, habits, versions of yourself shedding. Just like a snake sheds its skin, those things that shed that no longer are in alignment or vibe with you, those things need to go, or are going to start going. Even little things like when your wardrobe doesn't feel like it fits you anymore and you just need to donate stuff to Goodwill and maybe get a few new things that feel more you. It's those little things, those transformations that I'm talking about. Or maybe stepping into a version of yourself. Maybe you've been passive, but you're trying to be more assertive and set boundaries. And so you're stepping into that version of yourself. So this is about transformation. And so hopefully with taking the reins of your life through having intention, and action motivated by intention, aligned action, as they say, in your life path, in the life that you're creating, this will lead to more transformation. So that's kind of what I'm getting with this card. And it's those little things that you do that add up. So I just encourage y'all to reflect on your life and how it's going and the life path you're creating. Is there anything that needs a little shakeup, a little change, a little shifting, maybe some big shifting? And that's what this reading, I think, is giving me to channel for y'all. Thank you so much for joining me once again on this weekly wellness tarot video. I'll be back with you next week with our next card in our Fool's Journey. If you enjoyed this and if you're wanting an individual reading, please reach out to me. You can go to my website, taurusrising.com. Rising is spelled R-Y-Z-I-N-G. You can also visit my Instagram or my Substack. I will link that information below. But either way, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see y'all next week.